So this is day two of our activation, and I am really looking forward to that. I'm seeing a question here. All
Yeah.
right, so it's just really interesting that we give away our power. Hold on just a quick moment. There we go. We give away our power. I've thought years ago when we're born, we just come onto this planet and it's like, oh, this is the way it is. Trucks spewing carbon in the air, right? That sort of thing, or passports. It's just the rules. And something inside me was like, why do we just blindly go with these rules? Anyway, that's a whole separate conversation. I want to just back up and say, welcome everyone. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Day two activation is what Devi was just saying about this internal wiring within ourself, this connection within ourself. Again, the return to the way the cosmos operate. So here's a question from Robin that sets the pace for today, because some may not understand what Eros Gamos means. And so she says, I had a psychic reading years ago and was told that my husband and I were the Hero Gamos, Eros Gamos. I'm still not sure what that means, and I'm trying to get some insight here. Can you give me any insight that may help? By the way, we are now divorced, which is even more confusing.
Yeah. Well, in ages past, we had the Brotherhood of Light and the Sisterhood of Light. And oftentimes, when you're very, very young, your gifts, your spiritual gifts would have been recognized by the high priest or the high priestesses of the temple. And originally, the Heiros Gamos was a partnership of the archetypal divine feminine and the archetypal divine masculine coming together to perform the physical earthly reflection of that original divine marriage in heaven on earth. And so it was seen as an opportunity for the female to balance what Carl Jung calls her anima and her animus inside of herself, or what the mystery schools called the internal twin flame. And so before you could even participate in this kind of ritualized sacred sexuality, there was years and years of training to embody the consciousness of the divine mother and embody the consciousness of the divine father and enter into this ceremonial blessing that really fed the grid systems of the land and inspired the hearts of the people to celebrate the beauty of that balance of power between the male and female principles culturally. There's huge festivals and, bonfires of the wedding ceremony. And it wasn't so much about the couple on the human level, it was celebrating the first mother, first father that gave birth to all. And so it was an expression of gratitude for the fertility of all life. Then you have the initiates that played out those reenactments of this original pattern of the divine wedding. And then oftentimes it wasn't meant, quote unquote, to be sustained for a domestic partnership. And so that's why there's this template in family constellations where they call love with the future. A lot of times, those that were chosen for the Heiros Gamos, it was for a specific duration of activation, and then they didn't necessarily continue as personal mates. And so the evolution of this tradition allows us to tap more into the quantum Heiros Gamos, and then leaving behind what you would call that training or those rules and regulations where it was only for the big events once or twice a year, or like around Beltane, and then it wasn't necessarily going to be successful on the personal one-on-one because it was in surrogation. And I hope that translates a lot of what you can see in Marion Zimmerman Bradley's book, The Myths of Babylon. And then you see the contextualization of like the culture from Avalon that practiced the Great Rite. So sometimes the Heiros Gamos was called the Great Rite. And as much as I'm grateful for those roots, this is not exactly the template that we're entering into today, because it's evolved and expanded to include what you would call the original primordial energies from the original archetypes. So it's no longer fettered with all of those previous orientations, and allowing everyone to come to this present moment without associations from the different iterations that may have come before. And I know that's a leap of faith. However, I'm inviting people to be, like we said, curious and adventurous for this new multi-dimensional experience.
Multi-dimensional experience indeed. We are looking forward to this today. And I think we can go pretty much right into it. But first, let's I just want to reiterate a little bit of what you said, that the sacred kiss of all life. I wrote that down, and that's just it's the principle of that is latent within us. It's dormant, and we need to activate that again. And then I also wrote, the sacred quantum kiss is a dance in your body. And then you said, after we finished the show yesterday, to let our bodies receive this. So can you prepare us for this activation? I know your words are a mini activation in itself, but what do we need to do to really bring this within ourselves? And I ended yesterday's show saying there's no room for prudishness. In fact, that could be like a belief system that we just have to, like, where does that come from? That prudishness comes from lifetimes. In my case, from being burned at the stake. So share with us.
Protective mechanism.
Protective. Yes.
The principle of self-love is to have empathy for whatever we've experienced that's landed us right here, right now. And since the body is a temple, the best way is to really rotate your neck clockwise and then counterclockwise. And as you move your body, setting that intention that I'm emptying out all that has come before. It's also important to move your wrists clockwise and counterclockwise. And then to move those shoulders, right, forward and up and down, and then reverse. Loosening up your body joints. And then really going down your torso and feeling that pelvic girdle, and rotate your hips underneath that navel. Start just spiraling that clockwise, and also spiraling that counterclockwise. And then do a little bit of those arcing breaths, right? The yoga, looking all the way up to the ceiling, opening up your heart, arching the spine, and then collapsing it, opening up the back of the heart, undulating that, opening through the front of the heart, and stretching out right and left side of the spinal column. And then coming back down into that clamshell, opening up the back side of your body. And then really spinning it, right, with your full torso clockwise to feel that whole lower torso undulating, and then go in the opposite direction. And then if you can, right, lift up your left knee and rotate that out, all these joints, and then move the right knee. I know you didn't anticipate, right? A little bit of Tai Chi warm up. And then flex those wrists as you also spiral your ankles. And I'm going to create a new context, right? As I read the actual version of Abun de Mashpaya that honors the divine feminine. And so this was published by Nadu, who is a brilliant mystery school translator, and allow the words to penetrate into your heart listening. So move your ears down to your heart and then breathe really, really deep into your belly. Breathe underneath your navel. For the men, it's into your hara. For the women, it's into your womb. And while you're doing that, rock your pelvis forward. Breathe in. And then exhale, tilting it back. Inhale, tilting it forward. Exhale, tilting it back. And keep that breathing going. If you need to, put your hands on your belly, right? That abdominal breathing. And bring your attention underneath your heart and move it all the way down to that seat of power. And feel that breath in between your right hip and your left hip as I read these beautiful words. Abun de Mashvaya, O thou, from whom the breath of life comes, who fills all realms of sound, light, and vibration. And remember, this isn't the first time you've heard this, so let your soul start to refresh that dormant recollection. O breathing life of all existence, you who dwell in the dimensions of light and vibration from which all things emerge. May the sacred vibration through which you organize reality be recognized and honored in everything we do. Imagine being taught this, right? May the sacred queendom, the divine feminine creative principle, fully express itself in earthly reality as it does in the dimensions of light. May your loving desire for the full expression of divine consciousness be realized in earthly reality as fully as it is in the dimensions of light, the heavenly and the earthly. Provide us today with the nourishment, physical, emotional, and spiritual, that we genuinely need for our full flourishing. Release us from the energetic knots we have accumulated as we release others from the grip of our resentment towards them. Do not let us become lost in the illusion of separation from you, but free us from the immature consciousness that arises from that forgetting, the amnesia. For the divine feminine creative principle, power of life, and the radiance of all existence belongs to you through all cycles of time. So be it, grounded in me, expressed through me, made real in the world through my conscious participation. And so that is how it was originally presented in Aramaic, which is a poetic language. And it's also a multidimensional language. So allow the color, light, frequency, and vibration of those words to give you a big hug. And imagine that life itself is just giving you this huge hug and thanking you for all that you've gone through on this planet that brings us into this very, very special dispensation of grace. And what we're about to share pulls upon the traditions of the mystery schools. Some of these practices have been honored for thousands of years. And because the human race is evolving, and in that evolutionary spectrum, those of you who are here are part of the guardianship of this next iteration and its reawakening into its full compendium. So in that self-hug and that self-embrace, realize that you may have experienced the exact opposite of this. And to have a tenderness and to have that self-honor and the reverence for the trajectory that you've been on as the human race has navigated these different levels of forgetting and shutting down our true birthright until today. And therefore, give this huge wave of gratitude to yourself for being the pioneer that you are and coming here and making yourself available to the purification process so that we can not only restore what is the very best of previously, what has nurtured and cultivated our life force inside of our bodies so we could easily and effortlessly commune with the purity of our source connection. It's also a service that we provide because as we power up in that vital vibrancy, then we have all that excess flowing juiciness and aliveness to then pour it into the grid systems of the planet underneath us, which nourishes and serves all life. So yes, you're here for an individual activation. You're also here to flood the whole lattice of energy in the planet all around us with this infusion simultaneously. And that's really what you've been training yourself for. So all those other experiences have brought you into the realization that this must be uncovered yet again and unstoppable. And it creates a wave with all of us together that just crescendos out like waterfalls from each of you and blesses the earth, the land, planet, and every emanation of life itself. And imagine that all of us are taking a pilgrimage to the west end of, I think we pronounce it Qumran. And so this is that area of the Dead Sea, and feel yourself traveling up into a cave in those chambers of the Qumran and finding yourself laying down in a perfect like womb space that the cave is set up like a deep fertile chamber for you to get very, very cozy. And if you'd like to physically lay down, you're more than welcome to. Or just imagine yourself laying down and taking off the external layers of your clothes so that you're just wearing light garments because there's this warm air in the cave that's palpably, right, brushing across your skin and making you feel very, very relaxed. And the acoustics are just so sonorous. And there's a cymatic in the land. And at the base of the cave floor, you can feel this humming vibration. And so I'm going to read another version of this Aramaic prayer. And imagine that it's actually being sung all around you and that there's chants as well as singing. So it creates these sound waves and vibrations of light all about you. O birther, father, mother of the cosmos, you create all that moves in light. O thou, the breathing life of all, creator of the shimmering sound that touches us, respiration of all worlds, we hear you breathing in and out in silence. In the breeze and the whirlwind, we hear your name, radiant one, you shine within us, outside us. Even darkness shines when we remember. Name of names, our small identity unravels in you. You give it back as a lesson. Wordless action, silent potency, where ears and eyes awaken, there heaven comes. For yours is the breath that moves through all things, and the light that remembers itself in me, O birther, father, mother of the cosmos. This one is by Neil Douglas Klotz and David Masters. Abun Demash Bayaz. And so feel that energy cradling you and embracing you in this appreciation for all that you are. No aspect of you is not acknowledged and embraced. So this vibratory resonance comes from a space of wholeness. And feel into all of your divine pieces and parts. And if you can, quietly set the intention now that on these waves of sound, on the waves of this prayer, that you're calling back all of your divine pieces and parts. From some of those examples that were shared earlier, I'm sure all of you have your different versions. So feel this first dispensation of grace in the quantum soul retrieval of all these different facets and all these different emanations of your soul. Threads. That can weave back together as we go through this rite of passage. And really massage your hands if you want, rub the palms, opening up those hand chakras on both sides. And really flex your feet, opening up the feet chakras, these 4 points. And then if you'd like, massage the base of your skull, that medulla oblongata. Really feel that mouth of God position. And then if you'd like, follow your ribs as they come together in this xiphoid process. And really breathe into the cartilage at the very middle of your rib cage, at the base of your heart. And feel that Obum Demashvaya actually vibrating underneath your xiphoid process within your central channel. You can tap the head right on the very top if you'd like. And feel that whole strand, whole column of light going down all the way out your root. You can pulse your perineum if you need to. And just giving thanks for this pranic tube, this central channel, and really breathing into this soul seed. It's right above your solar plexus, right below your heart. And it opens you up to these instructions that you brought in with you even before you were born. And in this safety, now begin to use your creative imagination. How do you relate to the great mother of all life? And how do you relate personally to the great father of all life, which is her husband? And seeing them equally yoked and equally matched. Some of their ancient names is Abba and Ema. The first creator and the first creatrix of all that is. They are your divine parents. And they know your soul across all spectrums, all timelines, all realities. And so they know everything that you've been through. They know everything that the earth reality has dished out. And they still hold you in this original remembrance of your untouchable, pristine essence. So through that soul seed, breathe into this remembrance of what we call your original personal set of instructions that they generated with you before any of the traumas or before any of the unpleasant events or positive ones. Some people have nostalgia and they wish to go back to the good old days. And so whatever recollection is presenting itself, say, thank you, welcome back. I receive you, and feel that weaving inside of your body as the Divine Mother also brings in the energy of the Spider Woman, Grandmother Spider, weaving together all of these memories, all of these facets, and the Divine Father holding her in complete adoration and awe and amazement of these remarkable gifts that she has to move love through your body in a way that repairs anything that has fractured or ruptured, because he's holding this pristine field perimeter. So also feel around the cave a huge spiraling column of light. And that's being held by the Divine Father. The highest expression of the Divine Masculine is coming in and giving the females the room and the safe space to bring their gifts, to bring their magic, to bring their miracles connected to the womb at the center of the universe. And so he cherishes her and he adores her, and he's holding that guardianship and standing as protector so that only those energies that are truly conducive to your highest and best good and the highest and best good of all life and living is allowed. And so breathe in that safety that together your Divine Mother and your Divine Father create the truth of a quantum unified field. And then use that incredible faculty of imagination again and feel yourself as their original divine child. And that's clearing what you would call any and all ancestral identifications to the maternal line or the paternal line, or any of the other family systems that you incarnated into in any of those other timelines, or any of the other identities that your soul developed in those other incarnative processes that created the veils of this not being actually available to you in the way it is now. And call it all back that I am the divine child of my original divine parents, who in truth are two primordial forces of creation, two powers of life. And they are here to bless you with this equivalent of the resurrection sepulcher, as we used to call it in Egypt. So feel yourself going into a chamber or a cocoon within the cave that has all of these luminous strands of light all around you, placing you into that chrysalis. And it's in complete and total positive regard for all that you are. Everything that you experienced that was pleasant or non-pleasant, as well as the Huna principle of the Ho'oponopono. So if you're carrying any guilt or shame or where you think that maybe you messed up, that's not the perspective of the primordial mother father source code. It's a gift of unconditional love. And so empty out any and all guilt or shame that you placed on yourself through judgment, or any and all judgments that were brought to impact you physically, emotionally, mentally, or spiritually, and really ask all of that to wash free. The Divine Mother refers to this as the Divine Holy Grace Ocean. So place yourself in this liquid light and this oceanic field, as it also comes in and purifies whatever is asking to release and clear out into the void. And now feel them move in the sweetness of your divine parents. And we have this tradition where the loving parents will come in and give the child a kiss goodnight. So feel them moving in this sweetness and in this tenderness as you open up your breath to receive their kiss, the holy kiss, the sacred kiss. And it comes from this quantum breath that they are. And see, they know where all of the wounds are that's created any sense of protection or armoring or resistance. And they're breathing into all of those places that temporarily have shut down. And they're very, very patient. So there's a constancy of them breathing you. And you receiving this breath and allowing it to permeate and penetrate into not just your physical body, but also into all of your energy bodies, also into all of your causal bodies, also into all of your light bodies, because that's oftentimes where a lot of things get lodged in our field. And notice how much it is repairing you from the inside out and all around you, purifying your auric field and moving into the particle of your cells, or we call those adamantium particles, and sparking them, reaching into that divine spark deep inside of you, breathing into that divine spark deep inside of you, and also breathing into the cellular membrane and having that travel into the mitochondria, mother's mitochondria, and into that energy center of the ATP, the engine of your cells, and hitting or penetrating into that divine spark also within your cells. And this is their unconditional promise, fulfilling of this promise that you would be here today to receive this gift from them. It's always been available, and I am their messenger. This is what I experienced in my near-death experiences. So both times that I died in childhood at age 4 and age 10, this is how they also brought me back to life. So feel that integrity in my body as they bring this to you now, so that you don't have to go through a near-death experience in order to receive the blessing. Now, if you can, move your hands, one on your heart and one on your hara. And continue to let this breath in. And now utilize your imagination and creativity to call in your complementary energy signature, which is known as your own internal divine feminine in that multidimensional mirror, or your own internal divine masculine in that multidimensional mirror. And it's going to respond to you stepping into your sovereignty now, your self-authority, and commanding this sacred mirror, this divine counterpart, to come to you. Come, come, come. And it's also a gift from your divine parents, because each and every one of us, when we are conceived in that perfect combined unification, we are gifted this spirit blueprint, which holds all the memories of our wholeness. So regardless of our gender, we're always going to have access to the complete spectrum of the internal Heiros Gamos. So call in that internal Heiros Gamos of that internal marriage and feel, register, receive, and allow this other emanation of unconditional love for all that you are in both your male and female energy, in both your male and female energetic representations, and both your male and female expressions that you've ever manifested as. Because this complementary energy signature has been your witness throughout every single one of your experiences and has held you in high regard at every segue, so that no matter what transpired, there's always an emanation and an oscillation of divine love and divine respect and divine honor for all that you're navigating. And so feel that balancing also of the two primal charges. And this brings great joy, because the Divine Mother and the Father, right? This is how they live. This is how they create universes. This is how they create star systems. This is how they birth infinite, eternal expanses of realms within realms. And now connect it with the earth. And so feel, moving through this central channel, that you can now communicate with this morphogenetic unified field that's moving through the body of the whole planet underneath you. So as that central channel moves down, ask it to move into the crystal core of the planet, or the second sun. And like the trees have all of their mycelial networks, or feel the lattice of all that light and energy of the telluric realms underneath you. Move your energy into that whole exquisite woven tapestry. And then through the top of your head, set that purity of intent to also communicate and speak with your entire oversoul, which is a vast spectrum of your multidimensionality that's also always remembered the facet of the gem body that you are. So you're a facet, like a diamond has a facet within the whole gem. And feel that gem body of your oversoul just sparkling and shimmering, and that you're so grateful that your oversoul has always been in existence, always will be in existence, and that you are a reflection of this massive network of consciousness in the etheric dimensions of you, which is also modeled in all of the internal crystalline civilizations of life, an extremely advanced intelligence underneath you, and that you are nested as this holy divine child in between them. And now feel yourself connecting with what's referred to as the spirit molecule that lives inside of every single entheogen, every single plant medicine. It also exists inside of our own body, that DMT. And it is in every flower and in every animal. And now imagine that you can breathe in this spirit molecule to support you, to move into more of this inhalation and exhalation of these different waves of light that move across huge weaves of energy. And while that's happening, also pay attention to what we would call the one breath that the whole planet is experiencing with every tree. The trees breathe in our exhalation. And as they exhale the oxygen, they breathe out as we breathe in. It's this symbiosis. And there's this combined one respiration of all the trees on the planet exhaling, again, multidimensionally, and that each of us individually is inhaling with them, inhaling and exhaling with this whole unified tree network all around the planet. And then really opening up your shamanic receptors to have this shift into receiving what I've spoken of before as the tree of grace. That is that full column of consciousness that's uniting all of heaven and all of earth into this state of divine union. Now open up to this shamanic breath of life that's being gifted to you also from the tree of grace. And now we call upon all of your 444,000 masters, angels, teachers, divine guides, allies, beloveds, avatars, and all of your power animals and all of your totems and all of your other mythic allies, the phoenixes and the dragons, the unicorns, the griffins, whoever is on your support team, because they're just so thrilled that you're here. And in another colleague of mine who sits on the original circles of creation, there's a mantra that we preface that creates that reassurance for your body to completely be able to relax, that I only choose that which is in full alignment with my whole divine self. So see all your cells singing, I only choose what is in full alignment with my whole divine self. And that sends out a template, and it creates an additional reassurance for the purity that this is opening up inside of your body. Now bring your attention back to the Divine Mother, back to the Divine Father, and feel this figure 8, this infinity loop, as they are breathing back and forth together as sacred beloveds. And what they're about to gift to you is what we would call a velocity of light. As they move into what's called that bridal chamber with each other as beloveds, tantric beloveds. And feel that quickening and feel that pulsation because they're opening up what we would call this plasma breath. The vartish, zosotor, nanania, nane, and they're gifting you now with this expansion of this plasmic breath born of their tantric lovemaking. So this is what I mean by the primordial sacred marriage that supports you. To remember your capacity to trust your body with your spirit. So send out that openness, that yesness. I trust my body with my spirit. Because my divine parents are in coitus. And they're making love to every molecule in all existence, in every star system, in every dimension, and in every reality. Bringing in that plasmic breath. And as you make this commitment to trust your body with your spirit, imagine yourself being able to dive into cosmic ocean, the of liquid light, and drinking from what they would call the true interstellar sangria. So this breath is now mixing with this liquid light, and feel the power of these elements coursing through your body. Most of your body is made up of water. So feel their plasmic breath now moving into the waters of your being. Those of you that saw the dolphins in the beginning, right? Coming into that absolute coherence of this holy waters chamber. And as you drink in from the Holy Grail, we're asking it to move into any of those ancestral wounds or any of those archetypal wounds where you felt completely cut off from source temporarily. The truth is, you can never be disconnected from source. However, certain experiences in your ancestry or certain experiences in your own collective soul records, particularly in those bandwidths of the archetypal, there can be shock, but and a disruption to that signal. So feel this liquid light of the Holy Grail restoring pure signal. That signal is connecting you to the original pulsation from source origins. And feel that rhythmically, rocking your body. And this creates an entrainment in the cave, because all of us are starting to rock our bodies together. And it's coming from riding that wave of our souls. And feel that being reflected to you in the roots of the tree of grace as you still open up to receive all of that nourishment, all of that replenishment from the branches. of the tree of grace, moving it through the trunk of your body, the vaktish nonamanana. And as we move into entrainment, right, which is that resonance, feel that signal of your coherence, the vaktishyana, now partnering with everybody else, which opens up an even wider bandwidth of safety and security and comfort. Udopakana ni shote no manana ish satatiana. And now let yourself melt into what we would call 0 point, the bhaktishasya, and let everything else go and travel to the void. Bhakotore tatiana, emptying out your system into still point, into grace point, and into grail point. So Vartish, Oshoshianta Tatanas, feeling all of what we would call your receptor sites, the Vatianana, turning and saying yes. The Vata to the great unknown. The Fortor Nanashi Nomatera. And now feel this original quantum nashak. Dishote Fortor Tatetia Totana. The breath of source, the faktish, it is a holy kiss for you. Batatatia totana, and feel your beloved. Dovatia tatan, your true beloved, co-atomic, the vartiana, come in and start to caress your body. The vatisho tetafatiana, in this adoration of who you are as a spirit indwelling inside of this body. Because you feel so held within a million dimensions of consciousness, all partnering together on your behalf. Any and all barriers just release. Gata patara into the void. And perhaps for the first time, you can feel this breath of life moving into your reproductive organs. The yoni for the women, the lingam for the men, the vartia todashititiana nana, and bringing in this light body, sacred sexual reproductive systems, right between your first and second, right, energy centers, the vatish, the varatatatian totanash, and that your beloved, the Vaktisha Defetiana, is restoring Bhaktatia Totana, your quantum sensuality. The Fotorotapito Patatariana Vartana, because the right use of sacred sexuality, as we were, the Diafotopa, trained in all of the divine union, sacred union temples, the Vatish, the Papadia, is to be able to receive all of this life energy, from our original twin primes, the factor yana, at the origins of our consciousness, right into, right, the network of our sacred sexual energy systems. And that your personal beloved knows how to move it through all of your organs and all of your tissues and all of your muscles and all of your hair strands and all of your skin cells, and all of your digits in between all of your joints. And feel it moving into not just the respiratory systems, but also into the circulatory systems. And that sacred sexual energy is between you and source and your beloved. That is an exact complementary energy frequency to you. And this is where we bring in that quantum trinitized grace with you and your original pure soul, you and the source emanation of the primordial mother father in their original state of unification, and that they created you with this original divine blueprint of yourself, in both ends of your masculinity and femininity in both spirit and matter. And feel this restoration traveling up from your erotic centers, to say yes to your soul, being able to enter into all of your bio-spiritual circuitry, from the body to the soul to the spirit to your essence. And this is all coming from those innocence codes. Is in that divine innocence. All you know is the joy and the wonder and the awe that you've already been worthy of this all along. We just agreed to come together. Summer of 2026, to reactivate our ability to make love to our soul, our ability to make love to our soul in a manner that exemplifies the way that the Divine Mother and the Divine Father are always making love. And then feel that you're in a field of such plenty and such bounty of all of this sensuality and sacred sexuality with your original soul spirit. And feel that now move into the bottom of the cave, and into the floor of the cave. And feel that there's this beautiful aquifer underneath the cave that's going into those waters. And then replenishing this into what we would call the holy grail of the planet. Which then opens you up to surrender even more, to let it flow through you, through your body, and feel your body now join with all of the primal forces of nature. Now you're of sacred service, in a serpentine wave, as you open up that winged serpent or that winged dragon, and now move it into what we would call all of the dragon power grids, of the whole planet. Giving it to yourself to revitalize you, and sharing it with the ecology of Gaia Sophia Aramatena underneath you. And any of you who have seen, right, the intergalactic whales and the intergalactic dolphins and the mermaids, or, the mermen, really feel this sea or ocean of consciousness also in the body of the planet. Those of you who have seen the paradise worlds that are held in the body of the planet, where it's already vibrating in a conscious resonance of love and honor and integrity and respect. Beandota. And now appreciate yourself. Devatya, feel the appreciation coming down from the interstellar levels for your openness and receptivity, and feel the appreciation coming up from the kingdoms and the queendoms of the earth underneath you from Pachamama and from Pachatata. De Kotafara Tetia Shonte Falpon, Noi Shisiana. And feel this hum moving through all of the spaces between the cells of your body and move it through what we would call the dark matter. Also clearing any and all residue, from what we would call the collective genetic records of the species. Motofatara, moving it through the collective DNA, and especially moving it through the collective RNA, and clearing those collective genetic records, which is our shared transmission and also a gift of grace to all our other soul family members. Be they be here physically or in the replay, or even finding this even in a month from now or a couple months from now. We're sending this out to the whole soul family clan. We're sending, radiating, and rippling this out to the whole soul tribe. And we're sharing this with the whole soul lineage. And start to wiggle your fingers and wiggle your toes and really feel your coccyx and really feel your sacrum and just feel a million dimensions bowing to you in total acknowledgement that you are this instrument of grace and love and power today for the restoration of our soul's lineage. And now feel a torch coming in. Now we're bringing in the sacred fire from the Divine Mother. Feel another torch coming in from the groom and the bride, shall we say. And they're holding both of these torches and they're bringing them together for this Trinity flame, Trinitized flame, tri-wave flame. And now feel the resurrection of the lineage of the Holy Grail, Sangreal, the Grail Kings and the Grail Queens, through this sacred fire. Started with the breath, moving into the waters, and now the sacred fire. And this healing the lineage, which has also experienced a tremendous amount of spiritual persecution, which was not anyone's fault. Forgiving all of those experiences, but the lineage has been the fratia sotia contana previously targeted. And for this, I just bow and take a moment of sacred silence. And feel those resurrection codes travel out through you as an individual and to the sacred lineage. And feel that impeccability that we agreed to stay the course. And that this resurrection ability comes from the original laws of grace, the original arc of grace, and the original stargates of grace. So it's available in the planet. It's available inside of you. It's available inside of your soul cluster. It's also available inside of our soul lineages, multiple lineages, which you just intuitively know and remember. And then feel the singing end in the cave. And the cave also moves into sacred silence. And as you wiggle your fingers and wiggle your toes, right? You also gently begin to just shake or move any part of your body that's ready to play around. And so in your joy and in your fun and in your play, just kind of wiggle your body like a kid and come back to what we call the here and now with this village that's been gathered for this profound immersion. And applaud, hear the applause that we co-created magnificently. This did not come from me. And as you come back in, realize that I am simply a conduit. I serve as an oracle for us. So what came through today is generated through all of us and all the souls present, because I pulled it from your soul's messaging systems to me. Dovatish Nonanania. So I have deep recognition for who we be. And as you come back to center, sit up if you need to, stretch, and feel this collective blueprint of we. Bravo, right? The applause. Cheers.
Bravo. Oh my goodness. Thank you, Devi. How is everyone feeling? What an activation. Thank you so much. I'm beyond the need to wanting to cry. This is a beautiful remembrance. So much went on there. Wow. What a gift. What a gift. I know we're going to be integrating this for a while. So everyone, continue to receive, please. Be gentle with yourself. Continue to feel. Ah, thank you. I just want to say thank you. It brought up so much. One thing that stuck out for me is your near-death experience, how you recognize that the sacred breath of life, and that's how they brought you back. Wow. So see, this is experience for you. You've lived this. This is real. This is multidimensional, but real because you've experienced it. Is there anything you want to share about that? You want to add anything about that
Well,
NDE?
there was the two physical near-death experiences for what you would call the resurrection of the cosmic Christos and the resurrection of the cosmic Sophia. So like each time they brought in the quantum nashak, it was like the resurrection of the divine mother principle within me and the resurrection of the divine father principle within me. And so that's when they claimed me as their quantum Heiros Gamos child. And then the three spiritually transformative experiences with all those oversoul walk-ins, it was to ground it into the grid system. It was to ground it into the arcs of grace of the motherships that are located all over the planet, because we couldn't experience this if I hadn't cultivated the foundation of this network within the body of the planet through those shamanic medicine wheels, through those shamanic stargates, and through those shamanic grids. And so basically, it's been years and years and years and years and years and years of opening up that bedrock so that now we can come together as the initiated ones in other lifetimes and other timelines. We've already had initiations similar to this, particularly in the Isis and Osiris lineages. And one of the beloveds would go into quote unquote the underworld and be, brought back by its divine counterpart as a part of, making love between worlds, quite literally. And so that's when I met my twin ray. My twin ray was there working also with Divine Mother, Divine Father, and resurrecting me, resuscitating me, with all of the light surgeries. And so that's really what is rolling out here in September as we prepare for the autumnal equinox. All of these resurrection ceremonies, all of these resurrection circuits, all of these resurrection pathways, all of these resurrection initiations, all of these resurrection rites of passage that the planet has been experiencing is now available for those initiates that just realize this is the ultimate gift that's been promised all along. And we come together because the codes are activated in symbiosis. It's not like an individual awakening or reawakening. It's a collective reawakening because our bodies get excited with each of us remembering in proximity, in willingness and availability and courage. This requires a tremendous amount of bravery because the amount of love that pours into our body is astronomical. So that's why it was referred to as primordial source's original intention for us. And a lot of people just cry when they realize in the pre-birth planning, this was scheduled all along. The Vatisha Patiana, we just didn't know that it would quote unquote arrive the fall equinox of 2026 in terms of the largest installation the human race has ever known.
Wow.
Because it requires enough of us being ready, being receptive. So we've now reached as a soul family our critical mass. And then I'm in service to that, as I promised, because that's what I basically said in the ancestral council meetings. You got to go back. You can't stay. They need you because you serve as that midwife. I'm not facilitating this. No human can facilitate this. I am the midwife, though, or oracular midwife, soul doula, so that it reaches a place of your atomic molecular structures where you feel gotten on the human level so that it can land like the eagle has landed. And that's what my return prototyped for us. And that's the piece of the puzzle that I bring. And each of us has our superpower that we bring. And so that's really what these ceremonial initiations are for. To highlight your magnificence, to highlight your genius, to highlight your incredible, phenomenal contributions, not just, right, the ones that flow through me.
Thank you for being that midwife, a true conduit. Absolutely. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Wow. So incredible. And speaking of initiations and the medicine wheel, I want to invite everyone to Devi's 4-session course. It's actually so much more than that because it's multidimensional. There's activations within all of it. And I'm going to drop the link right now in our Zoom. There it is. It just landed in the Zoom chat. And of course, wherever you're watching this, it's in the description box if you're catching it on YouTube. But the page that got you here explains it. There's also some testimonials on that page. Devi has worked with some high-powered people. This is really the witness to the work, the testimonials of transformation. So you guys check that out. Thank you, Devi. So in this window of the fall equinox, this is exactly when you're preparing us even more.
Yes.
Before we talk about that, I want to have people write their questions down. Write your questions down for tomorrow. and share your experiences for tomorrow, and make note of your experiences from today's time. Feeling gentle with yourself, noticing what you notice, what comes up for you when we integrate like this. That's going to be really cool to hear from everyone tomorrow. We're really looking forward to that. And so, Devi, you've got this beautiful opportunity for a personal session with you, but then this 4 sessions and activations. Can you tell us about that?
Well, there's a window tonight, first and foremost, where the integration is going to move through you in Dream Lodge. So
Okay.
questions might also surface in the morning. So pay attention to that. And these are 4 gateways. And each and every one of you has your own constellation of an arc of grace stargate that's inside of your body with its schematics and its correlations. And so we, as a cooperative, agreed to go through 3 progressive gateways through the east and the south and the west to really awaken that original stargate that dwells inside of you, which is the right use of divine power. The marriage is the love and grace. And of course, it's the 3 Sundays leading up to the fall equinox. And then we really start the Telegram group on the sunset before the autumnal equinox so that we can really start synergizing, right, in that Telegram family and going through the equinox together, because the 4th ceremony is that huge acknowledgement and celebration and somatic party of what we've actually made possible. Because then when enough of us activate our stargates, original arc of grace stargates within our bodies, then it can speak to the arc of grace stargates within the planet. So in that somatic ceremony, then you really get to feel it through the body of nature in those hot spots and those power centers on the planet, and you really anchor it down in a way that allows it to practically assist you to refine your architecture to step into that leadership position. And of course, because we've already been marinated in this in other lifetimes, this would normally take like 4 years. And it's all being synthesized and alchemized. So it's really holographic alchemy, with your own internal arc of grace stargate that can only be activated through those 3 progressions so that your circuits don't get overloaded too fast, too soon, right? 3 human weeks of permeating that sangreal sacred kiss to have its way with you. This is an appetizer. So with the wisdom, so there's a lot of education so that people can remember and reclaim their memories, positive memories of where they've already been initiated and are already quite masterful. So then that 4th somatic ceremony is you in your king aspect, your queen aspect, your emperor aspect has been activated, your empress, that regal part of you that said that you would be a part of the leadership network, to galvanize this for yourself in your own life's work. So then it really amps up what you're doing individually in your personal mission. And the largest rebalance of power as we see that our lineage itself takes its rightful place. So the resurrected king and resurrected queen, because that's what the Arc of Grace Stargate can actually facilitate. It's so much more than just the high priest or the high priestess, and really stepping into that mantle of your regal designation to serve as an ambassador. So it's servant royalty. That know that they are stewards So yielding that power with impeccability, because it does open up a lot of power. And then the body's like, okay, where do I place this? How do I structure and organize all of these abilities that have been reanimated in a very honorable and in a manner and fashion that allows you to really make friends with your power, to trust your power, and to get like really playful with your power. So then it turns into that interstellar playground on Earth.
Thank you. It's so amazing, this work. Holographic alchemy. I love that description. And it's really intense, powerful work. And so here we are. It's a beautiful opportunity. And so the alchemy, that is what you do in a personal session as well. Can you tell us more about that?
The soul alchemy is the ability to go into what we would call a living life review. So you have all of these gifts that you've cultivated across all these different lifetimes. And that arc of grace stargate can structure them so that they synthesize inside of your body, so that they are primed and aligned in a fashion that you are just completely 100% comfortable with inside of your own skin, and vibrating in that mastery that is more of the synthesis of your lifetimes, or that synthesis of all those different timelines. And then people have basically described it as hopping on to the arc of grace timeline in their life. So for people that are attenuating to that upgrade, the is a huge, also personal quantum leap. It starts out with the reading. There's a 20-minute consultation prior to that. And then that prepares you to just jump right in, to the ocean of that pure bliss, and open up that compendium that's always been basically percolating and requires like that executive authorization for that Excalibur entering into that Holy Grail for that consummation to take place. It's all happening inside of you, though.
It's mind blowing. It is. It's all happening inside of us. And now, we hear the universe is inside us, and on a quantum level, you are explaining that, and you're explaining what happens within us and why this is so important. So thank you. Thank you for this. What has this been like, activating your own Stargate, and how would we know when our Stargate within is activated?
Well, the many different lineages have referred to the lotus flower blossoming, the lotus rose blossoming. And I myself have been flooded with so much energy that it's a humbling moment, because the surge starts to flow through my vessel. And I go like, okay, now I have a real appreciation for divine timing, because it can be very humbling to experience the amount of power that our consciousness is actually capable of moving through our body. So that Stargate basically opens up what you would call the vault, which is that reservoir. And as the doors of the vault start to open, it's like your whole body starts rushing or gushing all of these rivers of energy. And it's really good to be laying down, because
Wow.
it's like taking an entheogen, that opens up all of those fibers of light inside of your body, and starts running that really bright, vibrant, and potent velocity, so that we can handle the volume and the velocity that's asking to come through us. And this is also years of my initiations where I go out into very remote places in the forest or in the woods or in some deserted beach, like particularly on Kauai. Like I hike down right onto the banyan trees, and I'm there with these huge waves coming in, and feeling the original star ancestors on the shoreline. And you know, it was all I could do to just put my tailbone into the sand and just say, okay, I'm yours. I'm in. I say yes, even though my body was, you know, intimidated. However, I just said, I gave my word. I'm a full yes. Just stay with it. Right. And it's physically, I don't know if people have seen the film Contact, like when Jodie Foster starts going through all of those wormholes. It's kind of like
Yes.
wormholes opening up in your body, and all that, you know, energy is liberated. And she said yes, right? So we're in it, you know, for the full ride. And it's riding your multi-dimensional. I mean, this is what we mean by riding the multi-dimensional dragon body, for real.
Oh, wow. Wow. Oh my gosh. Oh, thank you for sharing
With
that. It's
with impeccability, right? Because it wouldn't be happening unless you've already had all of these experiences that have matured you to wield it with impeccability. So there's your caveat, right? Power with total impeccability and integrity.
integrity. I was going to add that too. Yes, impeccable and integrous. Okay. Wow. All right. So let that love flow within you. Oh my gosh. You know that movie, I Want What She's Having. You're helping us. You're helping us to remember the frequency in our chat. Thank you, Linda. We're going to ask your question first thing tomorrow in day
Tomorrow.
3. But you know, no wonder falling snow woman in Ecuador, beautiful Ecuador. That's an equinoxal balance of the planet too, where you are. And she says, I can barely type.
Mhm.
Thank you with all my heart and a deep bow of namaste. That is what it's all about. And so as we move through the rest of today, be gentle with yourself. Feel, tell us how we move. And you did mention the dream space. And you know what? I think last night, like I woke up this morning and I was like, wow, what was that dream? And when you said the dream space tonight, I realized I had that dream last night.
Yeah,
Wow. That's how
yeah.
it works. Amazing. Amazing. So,
And if you can, get your shoes off, right?
mm,
And rub your feet and dance barefoot out on the land and get it to wiggle and move, right? With that contact, that swoosh into the sand, into the grass, into the dirt, you know, and even if there's, right, you're in a cold part of the planet and it's raining, dance out in the rain and just, you know, let the elements bring you in through the east and the west and the south and the north, bringing in the air elementals, the fire elementals, the water elementals, the earth elementals, and then the quintessence. Okay. You're bringing in the quintessence, which is the 5th element. So you're going to require inside of that medicine wheel around you the 4 elemental forces to ground you, to anchor you, to let it land, right? And then talk to a tree, put your back up against a tree and say, connect me to your entire mycelial network so I can bring this down and bring this through, particularly the trees. If you've seen them where they branch, right? There's like a male and female side, or sometimes there's 3. Go find those tree friends. And sometimes if there's like 4 different trunks, go sit inside where all the trunks, right, are growing out of each other. Or, you know, like
that
get your
feels
feet
like a
wet.
womb. That feels like
Yeah.
womb
And
energy.
if there's two creeks, if you know where two creeks come together, put yourself in those waters, right? Where the two creeks are coming together.
Wow.
Or take a salt bath tonight, Epsom salt, sea salt, baking soda, get into the waters. I'll be doing that, right? Because I'm in this with you. As much as I'm a conduit, I'm also completely making myself available to be a living influx of purity. So focus on that purity. So as the power comes in, there's equal purity, and keep that as a divine marriage.
Beautiful. Beautiful. Thank you. All right. We'll take that to heart. Get outside, everyone. Dance like no one's watching on Mother Earth. Be in the trees, be in the water, wherever you can. Even if it's outside on a rooftop, be
Yeah.
there. Wow. Okay. Thank you for today. This has been enriching. That's the word. Enriching, enriching, and a deep, deep remembrance. And it's our birthright. Yeah, it is our birthright. It's how we're wired, and we're just coming back to that. Thank you so much, Devi. This has been a beautiful activation, and I trust everyone will continue to feel this. Again, be aware. Join us tomorrow. Pay attention in the morning, and we'll see you on this same Zoom link tomorrow. Thank you, Devi. Thank you, everyone, for being here. We love
Have
you.
fun.
Have
We love
fun.
you. Ciao, ciao.
Ciao, ciao for now. All right, beautiful hearts. Thank
Mwah.
you. Bye.
This has been a presentation of New Earth One Network, your home for New Earth living. Access information, education, and videos on living from the heart in unity consciousness. Visit newearth1.com.